Remember,
God damn it.
what was that?
An ant fucking got in my coffee.
Oh,
God damn it. Fucking ant. Ooh. Fucking ant. Copy Club.
I'm Dan Carlson, one half of Two Kept Men.
And I'm John Kadolf, the other half of Two Kept Men.
I'm enjoying half of a sandwich because
I'm enjoying
half of Two Kept Men.
I'm enjoying a coffee.
Half of a cup of coffee.
Yeah, pretty much.
So this is Shudder Club,
Copy Club.
and we are here to review A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.
Yep.
A movie that John didn't like as much as Elm Street 3, but I love.
Ooh, there's an ant. Ew.
John's love of animals does not extend to insects.
No, not ants. Those ants, when they bite you, it hurts. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master revisits our friends, the Dream Warriors, for a bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, and has probably the corniest way that Freddy comes back out of any of the films.
He's brought back by flaming dog urine.
Yep, flaming dog urine. Mm-hmm. And this occurs when Joey's dog pisses on.
It's Kincaid's dog.
Oh, that's right. It's Kincaid's dog. When he pisses on Freddy's bones, which I guess flaming dog piss
would wake anybody up.
Reverses the effect of consecration. So I think that that's maybe an insider.
He kind of has a Hound of Hell kind of vibe to him, even though he's a cute little dog.
Well, yeah, he bites Kristen on the arm.
Yeah, he bites Kristen, who's played by a new actress, Tuesday Night.
Yeah, she's cute.
She does a good job. It's unfortunate they couldn't get Patricia Arquette again.
Yeah.
It's a little glaring getting used to a new actress, but after you've watched it a few times, you actually start to embrace her as Kristen.
Yeah, and you know what what I took note of is the fact that the costume designer did a really good job of keeping Kristen's costuming the same as what she would have been if it had been Patricia Arquette.
So I want to talk about that opening credits music. Nightmare by Tuesday Night. She actually recorded the opening credits song, and it's amazing. It's not as good as Dream Warriors, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it has the same kind of vibe.
Yeah, it does.
As Dream Warriors, in fact. Let's see. She
performed it live at an appearance fairly recently, and it was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
Yes, it's not Dokken, but it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. So we can put a link in the show notes to her video.
Yes,
down there. Click right down there, and
like, subscribe, comment,
hit the little bell. That way, when we're invading your airwaves again.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so anyway, the movie.
So it starts where Elm Street 3 left off. Kristen is starting to have strange dreams again, although Freddy's not in them. There's the feeling of his presence.
Yep, the kid.
And she starts bringing the other surviving Dream Warriors into her dreams, and they're getting kind of annoyed because every time she brings them into one of their dreams, they're afraid it's stirring up Freddy, and also it's kind of annoying because they were busy doing their own thing.
Trying to sleep.
Yeah, trying to sleep. And then things do get bad. Freddy actually pulls Kincaid into a dream, and that's where the flaming dog urine comes into effect.
Yeah. Okay, so Kincaid's death, that sequence was fairly long, so it wasn't like okay, he's dead.
Right.
but it was pretty early in the movie.
Well, within the first act, all of the Dream Warriors are dead.
Yeah, yeah,
Which if you've gotten attached to them, and we have, it's a little disconcerting. But they give us a really good new character named Alice. Who's played by Lisa Wilcox, and she does a great job.
a fantastic job.
Yes,
Yep.
and basically she's a little on the nerdy side and a little mousy at the beginning. As
Yep.
her friends die, Kristen gives her power to pull people into their dreams
Yep.
to Alice.
Yep.
And
Alice already has a pretty badass power, though.
she does.
Yeah, I love she can absorb the powers of other Dream Warriors.
She is the Dream Master for sure.
Uh-huh.
She has. Yep. She is the ultimate version of all of them.
Yeah, and this is where they kind of expand the story of Freddy Krueger back, millennia to a time when when there was like a chosen one who was the Dream Master.
So she has this power to absorb the powers and abilities of the previous Dream Warriors and all of her friends that die. So anytime someone dies, they become a part of her. She can use them to fight Freddy.
And she's really concerned because she keeps accidentally pulling people in and getting them killed.
Although the thing that took me out of the movie for just a split second was, so one of her friends smokes and then dies, and then she starts smoking, and she lights a cigarette. She goes, "Wait a minute, I don't smoke." Well, then how did she get the lighter and the cigarettes? But that's a small thing, It's extreme logic.
So apparently, she can make things just appear out of the, pulls things out of the logris, so to speak.
Well, there's also the question of, is the entire thing a dream?
Yeah.
So it could follow dream logic that way too. I mean,
that's true. Her brother is a wannabe Karate Kid.
He's pretty good at his karate, though. I mean,
well, sure.
And they play a great song when he's practicing Drama Rama's. I'll give you anything you want, $100. I don't remember the name of the song. Well, we'll put it in the links.
It'll be in the show notes.
In the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes.
It has probably the best soundtrack of the entire series, not including the theme from Dream Warriors. Dream Warriors doesn't have an overall great soundtrack. It just has a couple of awesome songs. But this movie has an entire soundtrack of awesome songs.
Yeah. I liked the Dream Warriors soundtrack.
Divinals, Back to the Wall is in here. Don't Be Afraid of Your Dreams by Go West is in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good 80s kind of soundtrack.
Yeah, it's the most 80s movie of the series, I think. It feels very MTV-ish.
Yeah, it does. I got that vibe, and I kind of thought it felt a bit commercial.
It did. It was probably, it was the most successful of the series. It made the most money, and I'll criticize it a little bit. Previously, the only other movie that introduced kind of, there's a little bit of the Joker Freddy in Elm Street too, but it's not played up too much. You are all my children now, stuff like that. But
yeah.
Elm Street 3, he turned into the James Bond kind of wisecracking, Arnold Schwarzenegger killer. But the kills were very what was important, and then you got the joke, and then it was an extra added funny thing that grew organically out of the kills. Here it feels like the kills were set up for the joke a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely got that vibe in the
it kind of went in the reverse of what really kind of hooked me on Dream Warriors. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk a little bit about my favorite scene in the film.
Okay.
Which is where I think it's Kristen empowers the souls of Freddy's children to start poking their way out of his body.
including a younger Linnea Quigley.
And is
Freddie chest victim, I think, is what she's credited as.
but it always freaked me out how the arms would come out, and then the one comes out of the back of his head and grabs
Yes.
on the thing and just bonk, slams
Yeah.
his head back, and then he pulls forward and then bonk.
The bodies are coming out of. How did they do that effect?
A giant Freddy chest.
Giant Freddy chest.
A giant. I mean, holy shit! How cool would that be if that was like an attraction at a theme park? Get your picture taken with your
Freddy's chest.
Yeah, I mean, you go up with a big, alcohol wipe and clean off the section that you want to stick your face in.
Now that you think about that. Yeah, well, that's my favorite scene for that reason, but also the rhyme that Alice finally remembers right before she kills him. Now I lay me down to sleep, the master of dreams my soul I'll keep. In the reflection of my mind's eye, evil will see itself and it will die.
Yeah.
So she's actually saying that Freddy is a part of herself that she has to bring attention to. It's a lot deeper than I expected.
It's a deeper story, but see, people don't go to the Freddy films for that deep.
No. I'm just saying it's a nice thing to add.
Oh no, I agree 100%, because those of us who actually look a little deeper into films, other than just the surface, and go, yeah, look at how he killed him.
Right.
We enjoy that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a nice
layer.
Yes. In a movie that has its flaws, that has quite a few flaws, but it's still just very enjoyable.
So what would you say are the top 3 flaws?
The humor coming first instead of the scares, bordering on the cartoonish at times, especially Freddy coming out of the water like a shark with his hand. That stuff, putting on sunglasses and things like that.
Yeah.
Some of it was filmed during a writer's strike, so there were Rennie Harlan actually had to come up with a lot of what happened in the movie, I guess, from what I understand. So they were working with a complete script all the time, and I think it shows a little bit. But I think it's the sleekest looking movie. At the time, it kind of annoyed me because the MTV was everywhere, but now it actually makes it stand out a lot more than some of the other ones. Because the later movies were made when they were making the Freddy's Nightmares TV show, and you could tell that they were getting a little cheaper, and they were having to be made fast. So you could tell there was so this is sort of the apex of the apex production value for the series until Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
And it was probably and it is the highest grossing slasher movie of the 80s, which is no mean feat when you got Friday the 13th and all that stuff out there.
Right. And number 3?
And
I'll talk on number 2 a minute. Talk
on number 2, and maybe it'll give me time to think of number 3.
Oh, sure. So you had mentioned that the production value drops after this one, and that was my major derail with the Nightmare series, was the production value dropping, and the makeup. Freddy's makeup gets really bad after this.
I don't think it gets really bad, but it's certainly it's certainly a return to the original style, and it's not what we're used to.
Let's take a look at the faces of Freddy.
I don't think his makeup was ever bad in any of the movies, but it was certainly not as good as it was in Elm Street 4. I think that was the height of his of the effects. In Elm Street 1, it's very simple burn makeup.
Yeah.
In Elm Street 2, it kind of added that witch feature, where he kind of looked a little more like a witch. Elm Street 3 built on that. I think it was perfected in Elm Street 4, maybe because they had more money and time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then by the time Elm Street 5 and 6 came out, that was when Freddy's Nightmares was on, and Robert Englund was in that makeup all the time filming the TV show. And
right.
They probably tried to find a way to apply the makeup quicker. And
Oh God.
so Mick Strawn, along with CJ Strawn, were doing the production design on Elm Street 3 and 4, and those are the two movies that look the best, I think. Once we get to 5, I wasn't too fond of 5 at all. It's probably my least favorite of the series.
I thought that Freddy Krueger's makeup declined over the movies, but it was Freddy's Freddy. Now,
my third flaw,
I say though that I really, really hated his most recent makeup.
Which one was that?
With the new actor.
Oh, I didn't hate the makeup, and I didn't hate the new actor. I hated the movie. I didn't think it was the new actor's fault that the movie was bad. I think it was the script.
Wait, do you have anything else to say about?
This is one of my favorite movies. I love, as far as horror movies, I love this movie. Not as much as Dream Warriors, but it's right up there. I just love the character of Alice. I like what I like what it says, kind of about how you bring, how people stay with you after they're gone. Kind of, that's a deeper element that gets overlooked when you're talking about because it's a popcorn movie. And I love the scenes where they're in a dream and then they don't know it and they're kind of in a loop.
Yeah. And they what?
They're in that loop where they're experiencing the same thing over and over again. And then they finally realize, wait a minute, we're dreaming. And
what's kind of interesting is they in a much more recent horror, American Horror Story, in Coven, the series Coven, they have to perform these 7 rituals that or 7 spell types to be able to figure out if they're kind of the chosen one, sort of. And one of them is that they have to descend into hell. And basically hell is your worst moment repeated over and over and over again for eternity. Your worst moment of life. And it just gets repeated constantly, and you have to find a way to stop the loop and get out, or you're stuck there forever.
Or you could just desensitize yourself to it and it wouldn't be so bad.
I don't know. Think about the absolute worst thing that ever happened to you happening over and over and over again. And basically that's the solution, is that you have to come to terms with it.
Well, any final thoughts on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master?
It was just a great 80s horror. I mean, when we all saw, the first Elm Street, it terrified us and made us laugh. But it was really horrific. This guy that comes in your dreams does this stuff. By the fourth film, we're not quite as terrified by it anymore, but it still has its moments of extreme dread. For me, when they showed all of the of Freddy's children coming out of his body, I mentioned that as my favorite scene, but it also is the pretty much, I think, the one scene in the film that kind of captures that fright nerve in me just a little bit. That's the kind of thing that I would dream about if I had a nightmare about that movie. But it would be happening to me. Not like I'd be one of those faces, but like something like that was actually happening to me. So that's why I find Freddy. What?
So you empathize with Freddy in the dream.
Well, I don't know if I empathize with Freddy. I think it's just a matter that
that's just a horrifying.
I think it's probably one of the most horrific like death kind of scenes, and I think that dying that way would be very discombobulating. So,
well, it's a visual representation of the guilt he must feel buried way down.
Yep. So, but, and I think this is where my big interest in the Nightmare series kind of split off from yours a little bit,
Mhm.
and I just became a little bit less interested in it. I think we went into 5 really excited,
Mhm.
and then it was just a bit disappointing. So I think, because you're a purist when it comes to horror, you're like, okay, this is like one of my favorite franchises. It,
Mhm.
nothing could possibly make me hate it. Um, and then, but I started kind of going, yeah, but eh.
Well, I
And
feel that way about part 5 as well. I have to make myself watch it when I'm doing a Freddy marathon. I don't enjoy it very much.
yeah,
It's not the fault of the cast or anything. It's the silliness of some of the kills, and I think it wants to. I mean, if we end up reviewing it at some point, maybe we'll talk about it more. But um, it wants to be darker and it wants to be more serious. But then it has this ridiculous stuff where people turn into motorcycles and they turn into pieces of comic book paper that get cut up.
yeah, it just kind of gets ridiculous at that
Yeah.
point.
Um,
It's like Nightmare 5 for me was like your Prometheus for
I
the.
actually like
You
Prometheus
did?
enough. I don't.
Okay,
I have
Covenant.
problems with Prometheus, but I still like it.
Okay,
Covenant,
because I like Prometheus
yeah,
too.
Covenant was the movie that made me actually feel less about the other Alien movies. It actually caused me to enjoy Alien as a franchise less.
Yeah, and
So,
actually, I can't say that 5 made me
oh,
enjoy the Nightmare franchise less. I just think that's where I kind of deviated from the purism of watching it just for the sake of it being a Nightmare series.
yeah, but you were right back in the theater with me for Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Oh yeah, and Freddy's Dead I thought was great.
Well, maybe
Um,
we'll review that. Not next, though. I think we
Not
need a break for
next.
Freddy.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Let's sum this
Street
up.
4, The Dream Master. Press play or press eject?
I'd say press play. It's definitely worth a watch. If you've never seen it, you have to see it. You have to. You have to see all the films, regardless of how campy or silly or whatever we've said about them, about our feelings. If you haven't seen the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, you must absolutely watch every film.
Hmm.
So yeah, press play.
So you've just told everybody to press play on 7 movies that we don't have to review now.
It's a you know I mean we still I'm just saying that
Um,
you have to watch them all once. Whether or not I recommend actually watching,
would you watch Elm Street 4, The Dream Master again?
I'm sure I will. Yeah.
Okay. I say press play. I return to it probably about once every year or every 2 years. I just I, there's something also about it that reminds me of being in high school. I don't know. There's something very
Nostalgic.
nostalgic about it. I love the way it looks. It's a horror movie that actually is colorful and bright and doesn't. It's everything's not in the dark and hidden. It's just a day glow surrealist nightmare. The special effects by Screaming Mad George are insane. Like you were mentioning, Freddy's body contorting and all that
Yeah.
stuff. There's screaming heads inside of a pizza, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
We're never going to see that again.
Oh, and that scene kind of always gave me a little glitch was when he pulled the head out and yeah. Oh man.
I
Yeah.
love the scene where she goes to the movie theater and gets sucked into the movie.
Yeah.
I like that. I just
Now
so
that
much good stuff in the movie.
now that we're mentioning it, I'd have to say that my love for the series probably goes 3-1-4,
Hmm. I'm
and maybe
probably the same.
wavers between 3-4-1.
Wow. So I'm 1-3-4 on
Okay,
mine. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to say 1-3-4, but I kind of
I get it. I
I
totally
kind of
get
like
why
where
you
they
would like. I totally get why you would like Dream Warriors more than the original.
yeah.
I like the original more because there's something just purely terrifying about it, and just the concept is.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
you just can't beat an entire, bed of blood, squirting up to the ceiling.
mhm.
You just,
But I
that's
totally
the
get.
first time I think that anybody well, not anybody, but I think that's the most.
Blood.
What am I trying to say? I think that's probably the most blood many people who liked horror movies have seen.
In
Now,
one- in
probably
one
not for
scene.
you, but
Right.
you know, you were into splatter back then,
Oh, still am.
and you know, whatever it was, the most grotesque splatter gore you could get your hands on. But for the layman like myself at the time,
hmm
that's the most blood I've seen. I mean, maybe The Shining elevator, but I mean that's blood, but that's not. That's just like,
It's not coming from a person. It's
yeah,
an
that's
image.
what would you call that? Disincorporated? I don't know.
A hallucination.
Yeah, and the blood in the original Nightmare on Elm Street was, you know,
Johnny
from
Depp's.
yeah, that was Johnny Depp's. That was like every drop of blood in his body times 10.
Yeah, that would explain why he's so pale in all of his new movies.
Yeah, yeah, he
Dark
goes right
Shadow.
into Edward Scissorhands, which is kind
Oh.
of an homage to him dying
And he
at
also has,
the
and
hands
in
of
Edward
Freddy.
Scissorhands, he also has Freddy fingers to a degree.
Yep, exactly.
So I'd say press play as much as you can. It's a great. It's almost like a rock concert. Part 3 and part 4 are both almost like a rock concert. They
Yeah,
make a good double feature.
yeah. I was gonna say it would make a good viewing party.